karibu sana. It is only 58 days to Christmas. Mambo inaenda sawa sawa. It is another Monday. This is the 28th of October 2024. Hey, mwaka imeisha.
I know. I never knew your watch tells the date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, it can tell you a lot of things.
Oh yes. Speaking of
morning cafe.
Oh yes. Speaking of dates, very very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. This week is the end of a month and the beginning of another month. Also, on the deputy president's seat, it might just also be the beginning of someone's career and the end of another. Wow. We wait to see on that as well.
Talking about beginnings and endings, it's also the very special week for quite a number of candidates who are studying for the KPSEA exams. These are the grade 6 learners who are now set to transition to junior secondary school come next year. So to all the candidates sitting for the KPSEA exams, of course there are those sitting for KCSE as it continues.
Yes.
Nafikiri zile karatasi sasa zile main zimeanza kuja.
Those stands up somewhere next week.
Next week, yes. All right. So all the best to all the candidates sitting for their national exams this week. We wish you all the best from Morning Cafe.
Most definitely. Taking a look at who we're going to be having, the Kawaida Monday panel, the gentleman and lady who bring very much wealth of knowledge.
Inaitwa wisdom.
Yes.
Ukiona hii panel unajua wisdom. Samuel Pogisio, Philip Kisiak, Ruto Rapkirwa, and Dr. Mombingar will be in studio to just take a look at the big headlines this morning. And remember, after we talk about the big headlines, bigger stories about the weekend sports. Mambo ilikuwa ngumu jana.
West Ham thrashed Manchester United 2-1.
I tell you.
Arsenal managed to survive against Liverpool.
Why are you saying it's Liverpool that survived? Arsenal wako tu sawa. It was a 2-2 draw.
Technically wako juu yenu kwa table. So anyway, Joseph Kuria as well as Florence Dungu, they're both sports analysts and they'll be here. Fred Roach is all the way in Dominican Republic, so we'll be trying to link up with him on that. That is Monday Blitz. A quick highlights on a quick review on the
big headlines.
Big headlines.
Ruto's plan to inherit Raila Tough and retain Gema. Hapo amehesabu. Atachukua Raila na retain Gema. That's a star.
Pray for Ruto, cries Rigiji. Yes.
And he was in church yesterday, a picture there of the impeached deputy president with his spouse in a church in Kiambu. He said, Ombea Ruto. Matters Business, half of farms face delisting in secret owners crackdown. So Matters Business, na siku hizi wanajaribu kufichua. Wale you have money, you own businesses, but through proxies, now those listed and they're not clear who the owners are, could actually be delisted from the stock exchange. That's interesting.
Maneno tax evasion hapo.
Tax evasion imekuwa
kizungumkuti. Kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo wasema ODM yategea minufu zaidi. Minufu zaidi. Mechapisha picha ya viongozi, baadhi ya viongozi kutoka
mawaziri. Mawaziri ambao ODM alisema tumedonate. Their party chairman, former party chairman, and deputy party leaders across, plus their former leader of minority in parliament, and of course
AUC chair candidate
Baba himself.
Yes.
Kwenye gazeti la Standard, DP aims wisdom jibe at Ruto in defining week. You know what he said? He needs wisdom. So we pray for him that he gets wisdom. And they also make mention of the KPSEA exams.
Anataka kumaanisha before there was lack thereof.
Wisdom jibe. They've captured it. They also make mention of KPSEA exams beginning as parents' anxiety rise over long holidays. They'll be home for 2.5 months, I'm telling you.
Parents breathe in and out with us.
They closed school last week. And you can imagine some of them will open probably in the second week of January.
Yes.
So it's almost 3 months. Haujazoea na watoto wako lakini wako utaumia. It's a standard. And finally, our time to eat. I love this headline.
Alafu wamewekea picha ya some of these leaders here, some notable names. We'll be back to take a look at why they're there and what
purely
they're
matters
eating.
Conflict of interest.
Yes.
And some of these pictures here or images, they talk about some of these people who are very close to the presidency and how they may have benefited in big tenders in government, which they're saying that's a conflict of interest. And let's now cross over to regional matters.
And it's only 2 years. Somalia reasons Ethiopia shouldn't join the new Africa Union foes. President Mohamud says Addis is a threat to Somalia territorial integrity as he grapples with uncertainties around funding of the post-ATMIS arrangement.
So yes, ATMIS could be withdrawing. Ilikuwanga AMISOM, ATMIS. So now there's a new AU force that will be coming, saying if we will make that force kindly exclude Ethiopia.
Yes.
Because there's a standoff there. And they've used a picture there of Kenya's president, William Ruto, and Somalia's president who had paid, who was in Kenya last week for an official visit.
Hassan Sheikh Mohamud.
Anaitwa hivyo. Watu wengi hawajui president wa Somalia
Vice President wa Uganda anaitwa nani?
Education Minister wa Kenya anaitwa nani?
Bigambo. Yo najua.
That's the East African. Let's cross into Uganda now.
Yes. Hey, pale wanasema hotter than your coffee. Hey.
Coffee bill boils hot. Now this is the kind of image you should be using on morning coffee. So it's a brewing storm. A brewing.
Yes.
The play of words, man. A remark by Speaker of Parliament Anita Among on the coffee bill vote has stirred debate, and she's a very controversial figure by
Yes.
with farmers, leaders and the president all seeking to address tribalism undertones as they weigh the pros and cons of the law regulating the cash crop. Now you see, it's about coffee, but kuna tribalism imeingia hapo. This is a proper brew. Coffee is not just coffee, it's actually hotter. So what top leaders have said, the legislator Speaker enjoys an intentional and respectful relationship with the people and the leadership of Buganda, which is why an hour before the sitting, she met and consulted with the Buganda Parliamentary
Caucus on the bill. Yes.
Where?
And the person who was consulted there saying scrapping that UCDA is a punishment against the Buganda, who contribute nearly 50% of coffee exports, since Speaker Anita Among and those who support scrapping the UCDA see the amendment bill as a victory against Uganda. And then M7
and somebody, it's sheer dishonesty to bring up tribalism where the NRM is involved. The massive industries the NRM has built are mainly in Buganda. So it's an issue around Buganda. So this bill could actually disenfranchise the Buganda community. The coffee bill, it's boiling hot, and that's a big story on the front page of the Daily Monitor.
It's also the big news.
Yeah, big story on the inamaanisha imeuma watu. Imeuma watu.
Kama zote zimeona.
They rarely agree on a headline. This one they've agreed on. Museveni speaks out on coffee bill. President warns against tribal talk on proposed law. So there's a law, like wanasema itaumiza upande moja.
Yes. Still in Uganda, something that happened last week, the Kigogwo fuel tanker death toll rises to 24.
Wow.
I was watching that video before that fire incident happened and even after. Wow, it's a tragedy.
Wow. So yes, those are the big stories. Another nice, very positive headline here on the front page. Ugandan economy to grow second fastest, says IMF.
Sisi hapa Kenya tukionanga IMF.
By the way, they don't say very good, nice things about us. They've not been saying very nice things about us in the past couple of weeks or so. But you see, Uganda, wanaweza tupita. Well, that's as far as Uganda is concerned. Tuvuke border tuingie Tanzania.
Yes, on the front page of the Citizen, Kenya is mentioned here, and this is why. They say East Africa now sets sights on 6,200 kilometers SGR network. They say Tanzania and Kenya take the lead, and East African community member states endeavor to build that number of kilometers, 6,220 of standard gauge railway, with 1,120 kilometers already being operational in the two neighboring countries.
Of course, Kenya was ahead of the pack in implementing the SGR. Tanzania have done the same. Now they're talking about the extension of the SGR network to Uganda as well. So this could be a game changer for this region. Matters SACCOs, why the vast majority of SACCOs are concentrated in urban areas. In Kenya, it's the other way around. A lot of SACCOs are actually mashinani. Okay. Kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi wanasema upatu waacha maumivu tena. Vilio vya watu kupoteza mamilioni ya fedha vyaibuka tena, vigogo wa kampuni inayodaiwa kujihusisha na biashara hiyo mbaroni. Jeshi la polisi latoa kauli. Wanasema ni asilimia faida ya riba iliyokuwa ikitumika. Anyway, I can't really tell you what's happening here. You know, you should actually read the headline and understand the story.
Yes.
Mwananchi imetupa watu nje, ni upatu umetupa watu nje.
But I think with the Swahili knowledge that I have, I think these are conversations that also happen in Kenya, where people are defrauded money. Now, Sahia, even in Kenya, there's a lot of investigations happening, even from the DCI and the police are expecting. I think it's one of the dailies. Certainly the Star. Yes, it should be the Star. Talking about how even DCI is hoping that more victims will come out. Yes. Issues
to do with pyramid schemes, con schemes.
Yes.
So imepewa kipaumbele kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi. So those are the dailies this morning, and we'll be back to take a look at the local dailies in depth. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for today and the week.
Tuanze na Nairobi, and it's going to be a chilly morning if you're in Nairobi. 5% precipitation as high as 18 up to 9 a.m. and then kuendelea mbele it's going to get as high as 27 degrees over the week. That's generally how it's going to be.
Sunny throughout.
Yes.
All right.
In Moyale, tuone kama itakuwa some clear blue skies. It's cloudy right now. Hey,
it's friendly weather.
I wasn't expecting Moyale to look like this.
Last week it was a bit harsh, I think. Yes. Upwards of 35 degrees.
Leo wamepungua kidogo. The highest you're going to be seeing in Moyale is 28 degrees and precipitation of 1.5 millimeters.
So there's a chance of thunderstorms later today.
Over the week, most days are going to be sunny. The highest you're going to be seeing in Moyale is 31. Kule County 001 kwa Abdul Somad, 26 degrees right now. Hey. Na hiyo hata si kitu. Itafika saa 6 at midday and it's going to be 31 degrees. No chances of raining in Mombasa. But then getting into this week, over the weekend, jitayarishe. Weather imesema it's going to be welcoming November very, very nicely. And finally in Vihiga, the western region of Kenya, it's 18 degrees right now. Chances of raining, it might just be raining right now, by the way. 40% precipitation, so kunaweza kuwa na some drizzles if you're in Vihiga and its environs, but this is going to ease off. Getting into the day, do expect some clear blue skies if you're in Vihiga. Over the week, that is how things are going to be looking like. Highs of 27 and lows of about 17. That is how the weather is looking like in different parts of the country. On a news diary, majorly, the KPSEA exams starting off today. We're going to be having our teams in different parts of the country, giving you a wall-to-wall kind of a coverage, our ears and our eyes there, just to showcase how this is going to be. Going to be having PS Belio Kipsang somewhere in Nairobi, just opening these exams. Stick around for that. Today in history?
Do we have today in history? All right, we don't. So turejee tuangalia magazeti sasa. And we start with the Star because smart people read the Star. The big headline there, Ruto's plan to inherit Raila tough and retain Gema. So Raila troops, Mount Kenya MPs accompany him to a church event and vow to stand with him. So yes, we have a photo there of the president, two photos on the front page of the Star. One with the president, one with the president attending a church service, accompanied by, among others, ODM MPs. Yes, the other one is a picture of the impeached deputy president, also in church, accompanied by quite a number of MPs, all of them from the Mount Kenya region. So actually, and this is very interesting because where the president was actually in Uasin Gishu. But the number of ODM MPs who accompanied him
were more than
the local MPs. So now he has found a new team of accompanying him, hangers on. They're all from ODM. Interesting. So alikuwa tu anaongelesha watu wa ODM hapo.
Na hapo chini prayer item ilikuwa that the gentleman on the above photo should be more wiser.
Yeah, Rigiji alisema tuombe president, just pray for him to have wisdom. Yeah.
Hey.
Other quick highlights away from the politics because the politics is getting very interesting.
Yes, it is. This could be even hotter.
Yeah, why Mwangi was picked up from his Machakos home. They're talking about activist Boniface Mwangi, who was arrested on Sunday. And He's yet to be released. Elsewhere, police investigate 263 agencies for duping job seekers. That's the one you're talking about.
Yes.
So people have apparently lost cumulatively about R1 billion to these fraudsters. And matters devolution bill streamlines inter-transfer of function. And Treasury seeking to tame fuel guzzlers use to cut wastage. So Treasury CS amesema governors and CSs will be getting only 2 cars.
Na kuna governor niliona kuna entourage ya watu sijui kama wangapi anaenda kufungua event.
I was in one of the counties and I encountered there was a visiting governor and now the hosting governor. Telling you that that county was at a standstill.
So it's a competition of who brings
alone.
Yes.
I think made up over 50 cars. Yes. 2 governors moving around. Anyway, so
na kuna watu walikuja na gunia za mchele nini za kusaidia watu.
Ni kubeba tu watu.
Ni kubeba speakers tu. Haya, sawa. Hao ndio watu wanafaa pia waombewe. Apart from the president, those are the people who should be prayed for. Anyway, People Daily says, pray for Ruto, cries Rigiji. Impeached deputy president accuses president of overtaxing Kenyans and presiding over a failed health system, even as commander-in-chief calls for national unity amidst raging storm. Well then, will it be fair for the DP impeached to also say, well, this was happening, I was also there, so I should also be prayed for because I was also part of this?
He said that he quite a number of times disagreed with the president.
Okay.
And he said that in that entire cabinet, he was the only one who could stand up.
Yeah, I remember that soundbite.
By the way, this thing is not working.
Yes.
So he says he's a truthful man. So now that he's free to talk the truth, he's telling people, your health system is already failed. So, but you should probably listen to him. He was there. He was a member of the cabinet.
He understands
what is happening behind the scenes. He must have some level of knowledge about it. So yes, pray for Ruto, and we'll be told to pray for him to do what?
You need some mind games, the whole political divorce. Speaking of relationships, 3 years and still waiting. Will he choose me? Sijui ni kujibu ama niachana nayo maneno. Pale juu, MPs put up fight for CDF. They say leaders claim that entrenchment of Kitty in the constitution will not require a referendum. Maswala ya
see now NADCO report. This is where we are bundling most of these things. And now we're talking about the reconstitution of the IEBC. There was the proposal to entrench CDF into the constitution. But now MPs are fearing because some of these proposals could require a referendum. So MPs are saying, no, this thing does not require a referendum.
Kuandika tu na ipite tu. Yes.
But because they fear that if it goes for a referendum, it might actually be dropped. Yes. And once people have spoken, that's it. So they're busy trying to defend what's happening with the CDF.
And this might just be, CDF might just be the opening. We might be seeing more of such laws and...
and it's interesting because at this time now, this NADCO discussion had really died out. So now we're getting back to it, especially when it comes to reconstituting the IEBC, now discussing that. So probably some of these discussions could lead to a possible referendum.
Yes. On Business Daily, well, apart from the big news there, they say large turnout for Stanchart Nairobi Marathon. We had a grid last year. You should be part of this.
What?
The Stanchart Marathon. At least 5 kilometers would be good for you. Yes.
No, I've been running.
Oh, okay.
Just not in front of media. I'll address the media later.
Anyway, IMF is also here. The fact that it's in Uganda, it's big news. Here they say IMF upset by Kenya's move for 193 billion Kenyan shillings UAE debt. Where?
I told you the IMF is not very happy with us. In Uganda, they are giving positive vibes. Even in Tanzania. But when it comes to Kenya, ni madeni tu.
So in context, they say the IMF is upset over Kenya's plans to borrow 193.6 billion from the United Arab Emirates as the country forges closer ties with the Emiratis. You can read that there. And they say it argues that the commercial loan from the Middle East will derail Kenya's debt management plan, which seeks long-dated debt offered on concessionary terms.
Interesting.
Yes.
So bado tunaboro.
So away from the whole business jargon, ladies and gentlemen, IMF basically inasema hapana, we are the first love, you guys, msiende mbali.
No, but pia wanasema munaomba sana.
By the way, another whole context.
Mbona mnatafuta ingine. Yeah. Other quick highlights on this page. Cost of running the national government rises by 12 billion. So what is more expensive now? Huh? More than 8,300 agents ditch M-Pesa.
Wow.
So
countrywide.
Safaricom's M-Pesa has recorded its first ever decline in the number of agents following the introduction of a new policy that locks tills to specific locations to combat fraud.
Wow.
And this will continue. They said by Christmas, all till numbers and all pay bill numbers, now every transaction that you do on a till or a pay bill number will automatically generate an ETIMS receipt.
Oh yeah.
So ndio wajulikana uliingiza hii pesa kwa biashara yako. Tuambie tu ati hiyo letter tax. Rubies to get 30% of fuel sales profits in National Oil Rescue. And finally, money market fund yields soften on rates dip.
Kwenye masuala ya kisiasa wasema ODM yategea minofu zaidi. Wadadisi wasema chama cha Raila kinashinikiza kipewa nyadhifa zaidi serikalini kwa kusaidia kutimua Gachagua. Yes, it's a pay time, and yet the impeached DP has not even yet successfully gotten out of office.
They say he, like when he was summoned last week to appear before the Senate as CS for Interior, he did not show up because mimi niliwacha hiyo kazi. I moved on to bigger things. So ninyi mtafute a new CS for Interior. Now looking at this and seeing the front page of the Star where the president is now moving around, even in Rift Valley, accompanied by ODM MPs. What do you think they're doing? Ni minofu wanatafuta. Kuna kazi pale serikalini, washasema hiyo ya CS Interior ni yetu. Na kuna zingine zaidi because it's interesting time. So mabadiliko yatarajiwa serikalini baada ya Gachagua kubanduliwa. Duru zaeleza mabadiliko hayo yataathiri hasa nyadhifa za waziri na makatibu wa wizara. So ODM minofu.
Meanwhile, kivumbi Mount Kenya kurithi ufalme. Taarifa ambayo inaweza kuwa sawia na hiyo, sema wanasiasa Mlima Kenya wajiweka tayari kutoa nafasi usemaji wa eneo hilo pana. So what it seems even on this front page is everyone is looking at an empty space and they're like, I want that. And they're trying to reposition themselves very nicely in the Occupy, a seat that is just about to be vacant.
Something very interesting hapa wanasema Gachagua arejeshewa walinzi. So at least now he has his security back.
Yes.
We remember when we saw him leave hospital at Karen and he had to be driven, I think, by one of his sons. Yes.
The wife had to open the door for him.
And it looked, people are not very comfortable with that sight. Wasema hata kama. So amerejeshewa walinzi. Alipokonywa walinzi wote baada ya seneti kumng'atua uongozini, lakini nafikiri sasa kabla koti jaamua. Amerejeshewa walinzi. So akiwa kanisani jana alisema rais aombewe. Lakini aombewe kwa nini?
Masuala ya wisdom.
Wisdom jibe at Ruto and defining week. So Rigathi Gachagua is asking Kenyans to pray for the president to have wisdom. Because if you don't pray, the president will continue without wisdom. To have wisdom to offer some relief from what he said was overtaxation and a crumbling healthcare system. This even as his lawyers want the Court of Appeal to stop the possible swearing in of Professor Kithure Kindiki this week. So this week, if the swearing in happens, a lot will change.
Yes.
Now even ODM will say, okay, fine, hizo vacancy kwa cabinet.
Yes,
this is the time. So according to the deputy president, the president is lacking in one very crucial thing, and that is wisdom, and that's why he's asking you to pray for him to get wisdom.
Yes. Speaking of wisdom, pale juu, ODM senators to block bid to tinker with a term limit. This has to go with the Cherargei's bill to increase the president, MP, governor, MCA's term limit from 5 years to 7 years. Ngineko masuala ya Trump and Kamala inaendelea kuchacha.
By tunakaribia. Today being the 28th, that means it's only a week away from the elections in the US.
Oh, it's a week?
Yes, November 5th.
Actually, yes.
Tumefika. Our turn to eat.
On the 5th of January 2023, ladies and gentlemen, sijui kama mnakumbuka hiyo siku, President William Ruto maintained he was keen to form a state capture commission. This actually he spoke during that joint media interview. And he said to end the culture of contracts going to public officials or the politically connected elite, which is a key campaign pledge. However, it has emerged that at least 8 Kenya Kwanza flagship projects are mired in controversy stemming from conflict of interest, some benefiting the president's family, directly. They have this on pages 2 and 3. And they're linking both President William Ruto as well as impeached DP Rigathi Gachagua.
And I like the fact that the Daily Nation is not letting anyone off the hook.
Yes.
Kama umekuwa impeached,
we're
talking about this government.
Yeah.
Kama mumefanya kitu ni nyinyi wote vile mulikuwa.
Yes. Have both for president, his Western Hotel has bagged 37 tenders worth 57.9 million cash shillings, more than any other establishment whose contracts have been published in the public procurement portal. Also, according to this paper, for Rigathi Gachagua, his sons Keith and Kevin on a firm that was an agent for one of the companies that caused the Global Fund to cancel a 3.7 billion tender for supply of mosquito nets, which was big...
It's a very cheeky headline if you ask me.
Yes.
Because some of this, whatever is on the front page here, is what it was among the 11 grounds for impeachment of the deputy president. Are we saying that kuna mtu mwingine amefanya tu mambo kama hayo?
This would mean if anyone will come up with grounds similar to those that were impeached Rigathi Gachagua and also wanted now to impeach the president.
Abuse of office, this can be used the same way. So if you could impeach the deputy president on such grounds, even the president
will also fall victim for that.
Yes. That's a big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation.
Other headlines, in case you're trying to squint your eye and see how ni kina nani wengine: Silas Kibet Matuo, Mary Wambui Mungai, David Ndien Mwende Gatabaki, who's a wife, Moses Kuria, Nelson Kwach and Chepkiroi Kons, as well as Mithika Linturi, Marianne Kitany, and Collins Ngetich.
These are just some people close to the presidency who have benefited from big money tenders, from government deals. All right, so tulikuwa tumeangazia hizi za region, tumalizie tukiangalia masuala ya Karakacha.
Alafu traffic sasa. We are moving on the right pace. Let's continue. Harry is back.
Harry is back. This is a Standard.
Yes.
Cartoon on the Standard has Rigiji ametupwa kutoka kwa boat na kuna jamaa sema we are moving at the right pace, let's continue. Huyo jamaa anaweza swim. In parliament, Senate, wote wako kwa hiyo same nini, same boat. That's Harry.
Oni Stano. Yes. Stano goes with a very interesting conversation which has been going on the digital platforms. Has to do with the abduction, and he has this huge gentleman abducting democracy.
And there's a very interesting story on the Standard. Many of those people have been abducted and later released. Now they're giving, because they're usually blindfolded and taken to a place. But now they're giving their stories and they're saying,
this where it is.
Mahali ilikuwa wapi?
Mahali Limuru Road.
Forest, karibu Limuru Road, karibu ile Northern Bypass, karibu ile Red Hill Road. Ni hapa tu. By the way, ni hapa tu karibu hapa.
Pahali tu tuko mahali karibu.
There's a forest around here, I want to say. So probably, because all those... Their stories seem to be matching.
Yes.
And they were arrested separately and released separately. But what wanasema is somewhere in a forest, lakini ukidrive kidogo uko Limuru Road, ama ukidrive kidogo uko Kiambu Road. Matters health.
This should be a Daily Nation. IGA goes with the Social Health Authority, and the person who should be attending to them ametoka kuambia, tafadhali, please be patient. Labda ameenda lunch for government offices by 12.
Laini meanwhile inafika upande ile Timbuktu. President alizungumza jana akasema msijali, hizi ni teething problems. So hata watu kadhaa wakikufa msijali, ni teething problems tu. Tutasort. Meanwhile, the impeached deputy president says, yes, pray for this guy, he needs wisdom because the healthcare system is failing.
Na niliwaona.
Mimi nimesema iko kwa magazeti huku, by the way, I'm not making up any of this. Yes. Hey, tukikaribia hapa mahali kuna forest hapa hivi. Kuna forest huku mahali tunasikia. Anyway, let's talk about the traffic situation. Of course, it's building up rather fast around the Pangani area. Asante sana mwalimu.
Yes.
This Pangani interchange is building fast, so if you're coming from Kiambu Road or Thika Road, do expect to spend quite some time around this interchange before you proceed on to town using either Muranga Road or Professor Wangari Maathai Road. So Muranga Road and what was Forest Road are looking good. So shida tu ni hapo Pangani. Twende tuangalie Jogoo Road building up at Makadara heading towards town, Botela area. Pale City Stadium leo iko sawa, but once you get into town, pale around Railway Bus Station, both sides of Haile Selassie Avenue are a bit busy. Nimeona watu wana travel, wengine wanafunga mashule.
Oh yes, by the way.
There's a bit of travel. Southern, this is a
Mombasa Road.
Mombasa Road. We have the expressway there all the way from the airport towards town. Nothing much happening there. So Mombasa Road is comfortable. Pengine ile ya chini, hata ya chini tunaona iko sawa. Southern Bypass is looking good. So is Langata Road all the way to Nyayo Stadium. Ngong Road, bits of traffic at Junction Mall. Pale kuna lights. Ukifika pale Adams Arcade because of the lights again. Na pale Prestige Plaza. But hiyo ni sababu ya lights. Otherwise, there's nothing much to report from that direction. Finally, on Waiyaki, and this is the other major tributary into town. Problem iko pale karibu Nairobi School kama kawaida.
Few
bumps there. Yeah. But after that, once you get to ABC Place into town, expect smooth traffic all the way. Yes. So kawaida traffic Nairobi, and with schools closing, we do expect that things will get better. Yes.
Right. Coming up, State of the Nation, quite a very, very interesting week it's going to be, by the way.
Yes. Now here you don't have to pray for wisdom.
Yeah.
The wisdom is already
the wisdom is with us here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Honorable Dr. Mumbingaru, Samuel Pogisio, Philip Kisia, and I think Kipruto Rapkirwa.
Yes.
Yes, we'll be in studio for this conversation, so do stand by for that and a lot more. And later on, Monday Blitz.
Monday Blitz coming up from 8 to 10. We'll be having a whole concussion of local as well as international. So much has been happening since last week. Junior Starlets made us proud. The Rising Stars also qualified for the AFCON Under 20. Arsenal pia nao wakangangana pia. Man United at Astonga. All that coming up with Shutterboy and Fred Roach at 8 a.m. Don't go too far.
All right.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons,
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
we cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights,
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
strategies,
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
and stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. My name is Fred Indemuli. It is the 28th of October 2024. Today, a number of candidates are sitting for the KPSEA exams across the country. KPSEA exams begin as parents' anxiety rise over long holidays. The children who are closing school will be home for close to 2.5 months before reopening for the first time of 2024. It is part of the headlines on the front pages today, matters education. But that is still not the biggest story. Today, the headlines are quite varied. Ruto's plan to inherit trailer tough and retain Gema is the front page of the Standard. Deputy President aims wisdom jibe at Ruto in defining week on the Standard. And on the Daily Nation, our turn to eat. Big headline there. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. Very privileged to be having with us today Dr. Mumbi Ngaru, who has served as a member of the East Africa Legislative Assembly and before that as mayor of Thika Town. Karibu sana.
Good morning.
Yes, Philip Kisia, leadership and governance expert, also joins us today. Bwana Kisia has served as, among other things, town clerk of this great city of Nairobi. Good morning, Karibu.
Thank you.
And Samuel Pogisio, who served as cabinet minister for ICT in the Kibaki II administration, also was a majority leader in the Senate in the 12th Parliament. Bwana Pogisio, it's a pleasure to have you in studio. Karibu sana. So let's start with the one that's screaming. I think it's a Daily Nation, our turn to eat. And they talk about how this administration has been conducting itself. One of the major promises by the president, and it's quoted here on the front page, is that he was going to form a state capture commission to investigate state capture. And that was one of the biggest promises that the Kenya Kwanza administration made. Now it would appear that after a very short 2 years, 2 short years and everything has changed and gone back to the same modus operandi. So we have the president there and they say that William Ruto, his Weston Hotel, has bagged 37 tenders worth 57.9 million shillings, more than any other establishment whose contracts have been published in the public procurement portal. The impeached deputy president also has been listed there as having done something similar alongside other officers and people close to the presidency, including senior advisors who appear to have benefited from big money tenders. Now, question is, some of these allegations have been used just a couple of weeks ago against the deputy president on that long list of 11 charges on impeachment, abuse of office and all these things. But it would appear the entire government is just, this is a mode of operation. Does it even shock you that this is happening, or are we used to this kind of operation from government? Dr. Ngaru.
Good morning, Fred. Before I get into that, let me take this opportunity to wish our children, students, all of them across the country who are starting their exams today. We'll pray for them, for their success. In a very unusual environment, the country is very fluid. I want to remind them that God is still in charge and they will overcome and they will pass. All right. Number two, I want to wish retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. It was his birthday yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we were happy to hear him speak. because we had heard he was unwell. Others had also almost done his urology. So for him to for him to laugh and make us hear his voice that he was doing well was a great relief for most of the Kenyans. Now to your question. It is our time to eat. I don't know whose time. It's not us. It's not our time. No. It's not Philip's time. It's not Honorable Pogiso's time. It's not your time. So the hour, I have a problem with our time to eat. Let's call a spade a spade. And I'm glad they have picked a sample and put faces on the names. And if it were them that are talking about their time, then that is correct. But when it is put like, is it a region? Is it a community? Is it whatever? I have a problem with that. But the faces are good. They are not ashamed of it. Okay? They are screaming it. And therefore, is a continuation of bad manners. It makes me sad that is something to be proud about. It makes me sad that we have lost the, I'm trying to be nice. We have lost the reason why people go to such positions to serve the country. And therefore, from where I sit, we have no other option but stop it and tell them you've lost way shamelessly and let them just pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bwana Kisia, it would appear that this is what every other government does. And during the campaigns, the Kenya Kwanza team used this same line to endear themselves to Kenyans, saying that the way the government is conducting itself, we are the people to go there and change it. But it would appear that they were just looking for an opportunity to get there and make it their turn now to eat. Do you agree with that assertion that this is actually how most governments behave? And Kenya Kwanza is no different?
Well, Fred, good morning and good morning, colleagues. Happy to be here this morning. Let me join my sister in wishing President Uhuru better days ahead. And shame on those who are trying to read his eulogy and bury a man that is so fit as a fiddle. Shame on them. And for Uhuru, keep it that way. Your silence is killing a lot of people. So just keep it that way. Now let me say this, Fred. And I want to agree with what my sister said. But I just want to differ on one of the things that she said. That these are good faces. These are very bad faces. These are very ugly faces. These are faces of impunity, of corruption, of incompetence, of stealing public resources, of looting. These certainly cannot be good faces. They are bad faces. They are bad examples. They are cabals. And when I heard my good friend, the president, the current president, talking of corruption, some of us who know him fairly well, we knew it was a joke. He does not believe in fighting corruption. He has never had a history of fighting corruption. You know, Fred, just last week, my 14-year-old son, Ethan, shocked me. He asked me, Daddy, I have been researching, I've been Googling to find out how President Ruto has made his wealth. There's no name behind, there's no industry behind his name. There's no business behind his name.
But he was selling.
There's no manufacturing behind his name. So, where has he got this wealth? Is a question the young man was asking me. I'm still finding answers. And I will definitely give him answers at an appropriate time. But I can tell you, from all the people who are listed, from all the people you can see here, they have not put together even a factory to put do furniture. They have not even have a small bakery to produce bread. They have nothing behind their names other than what we know. And it is all said here. Okay? So for some of us, we are not surprised, because there is no way a thief can point at another thief. Fred, when we were growing up in this city, one of the ways of a thief taking off and running, you'd run, and people are pointing at you saying, that's a thief, and you'd point at the other guy ahead of you. Mwizi huyo, and you'd point mwizi huyo. So this is the scenario, that these characters, when President Ruto was in the reign of power, they were pointing at him and his administration, mwizi wewe. But they knew deep down themselves that they are the greatest looters. They are thieves, and there's nothing behind their names. No. If you look at people who have succeeded in this country, like my good friend Manu Chandaria, just go back. You can see the history of the family. They started from here. They built. They continued. They started from somewhere. But these ones, what can they show you? If it is land, it is public land. If it is, it is not business. Looting, they have looted public funds. So, I was not surprised, my friend. And I'm not surprised. In fact, I think this is an underestimation of what they have looted. In fact, last week, Fred, I said that if you can impeach Gachagua because of conflict of interest, I am happy, Nation. I am very happy, Nation have now reported. They are saying that President William Ruto is not a saint. He cannot talk about corruption because his hotel, which is not a 5-star, has received tenders where 5-star establishments are supposed to cater. He has received tenders from government. He is doing business with government. If there's nothing else, President Ruto should be impeached because of this one.
Okay. But Bwana Pogisio, some may argue that you're being a bit too harsh on this administration, that each and every other government does the same. You've been part of government, and even Mwai Kibaki's administration was accused to some extent of some of these similar issues. Why should we expect any different from this government?
Thank you, Fred, and let me also wish President Uhuru Kenyatta a happy birthday and good life ahead and good health. Fred, let me just join my colleagues in saying that this government Kenya Kwanza went on a very open display of sainthood and holiness and condemning everybody else. So the expectations were a bit high. They raised their own bar. They said the other government was corrupt and we're going to show them how not to be corrupt. Well, this is how they show it. And if you look at just roughly what this sample is, it's about 300 billion just here. And when we have named 1,000 other people who are in this government who who also said it's their turn to eat. And so you can see, if 300 billion can go in 2 years, you can imagine where we're going, you know. And the sample itself, you can see the faces that are given. In fact, if you look at all these individuals, they joined government for what reason? For that particular government, for that particular reason. So everyone was given their own task and their own assignments. I mean, you can actually say, you go there and eat, go there, eat, go there, eat. Everybody's given a chance to eat. That is what is different about this government and maybe the others who may have stolen and must have used some kind of thievery, you know, some ways of stealing. This one seems to be allocated corruption. And as I said, there are 1,000 other people who are doing the same thing. So I don't know how much beef will be left when some of us, all of us, begin to think, ask for our share. Because there might be nothing left. Because a few people have decided, this is for us. We fought for this government, we must eat first. And that is the attitude that's going to kill the economy of the country. And I don't think we should be very kind when describing these people. I don't think we should be very kind, because if it is confirmed, I mean, some of these things are even underestimated, but if it's confirmed that even this is what's happening in this country, we should be worried country. 300 billion can run almost our education system, the entire education system. And we're now struggling with classrooms. We can't build classrooms. We're asking people, CDF, to match funds. We're asking this. I mean, this is the money, this money here. If we were to do business in a better way, Fred, this money would have been spread among more Kenyans doing business. And you'd feel the money, you'd feel the presence of that money everywhere in every corner of the country. But if it is just accumulated among friends, among a few people, among people who will probably just go and stash it away, you know, accumulate it, it won't help this country. You know, I mean, I'm looking at a situation where somebody has a bank account outside the country, a bank account in the country, where money just sits there. This economy cannot grow. So even the economic advisor is here. So I don't know now what are we going to do.
And if we link this story with a different one, which now involves the ODM party, there's a headline on the front page of the Taifa Leo reads, ODM yategea minofu zaidi. It seems to suggest that everyone is waiting for a chance to get closer to the presidency or get into government because of the benefits that accrue from that. And one wonders, ODM was probably one of the biggest critics of this kind of plunder. But now everyone is keen to join this bandwagon, who are proclaiming that it is their turn to eat. You are a member of ODM party. How does that make you feel? That there's so much eagerness and excitement to join a government whose operations have really been questioned by so many people?
Fred, I am a member of ODM, in fact a life member. And those that are getting in, they have a decision to make about themselves. But the position of the party is that do things differently. You must not go in and do what is done. But when you get there, they decide to be individuals, and therefore I cannot talk on their behalf. But as a Kenyan, I would ask myself, where did the rain start beating us? Because it has happened in previous administrations. Fred, remember, we allowed politicians to do business with government. I think that's where we lost it. Because we have turned politics into a business enterprise. You find manufacturing, people who run thriving businesses turn from that one to politics because you will make more money in politics. Therefore, we must call it out and decide, are we getting into politics as a business enterprise, or are we going there to serve the country? And if we decide as a country that that's the way to go, we must stop this nonsense of making politics earn more than other professionals. In other countries, you will see that they don't make the millions or control the funds, the public funds that are controlled by people in politics. We have to call it as it is and decide we have to deal with this nonsense. But who does it?
Who does it? That's a question.
Now, it is done. We attempted it in our new constitution, 2010. Yeah, we did it. We had, I am saying we had chapter 6, because what was there was to stop characters who have the long fingers that pick everywhere, getting into those positions of leadership. You did have somebody who has grabbed a plot and another, and they are involved in the Auditor General's report. Yet they come out there, and what we are told when they come to the ground, yes, we don't have a problem. He is our thief. And so our thief is elected so that we can continue with the same thieving exercise until we decide as a country that we are going to stop this madness and start from the top. Start from the top.
I hear you, Dr. Ngaru.
If we don't start it from the top, the MCA, we are tackling MCAs, we are dealing with the chicken thieves and bandits, cattle rustlers. We are dealing with them without dealing with us.
There's a headline on the front page of the Daily Nation that says that Raila is the unlikely force steadying Ruto's ship. ODM, in the other headlines, yategea minofu zaidi ya serikali. This was the alternative voice. When you say we will deal with it, this was the alternative voice to balance the excesses of government. It would appear now everyone is united. And we'll be looking at that, Bwana Kesia. Give you time to ponder on that. Let's take a break. When we come back, we continue looking at this and how now the entire political class appears to be in agreement. Is it their turn to eat? And are they together in this? You're watching Morning Cafe.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Right, welcome back. Before we continue with our discussions, as I mentioned earlier today, quite a number of candidates are taking part in the KPSEA exams countrywide. The PS for Education, Belio Kipsang, is in Nairobi, and he took part in the handing over of exam material, and he had this to say earlier this morning. All right, yes, once again, thousands of candidates are sitting for their KPSEA exams countrywide. These are the grade 6 candidates who are looking forward to transitioning to the junior secondary school next year. And yes, I've been informed that we'll be crossing over later and getting to hear those sentiments by the PS for Education, Belio Kipsang, as he presided over the unbundling of exam material earlier this morning here in Nairobi. I'm still in studio with Dr. Mwambi Ngaru, Philip Kisia and Samuel Pogisio. We continue looking at the big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation, our turn to eat, and I'm just juxtaposing it with the kind of excitement we see within ODM and the fact that even the headlines read that Raila is now the unlikely force steadying Ruto's ship, the same ship that is being accused of conflict of interest. Bwana Kisia, has it ever got this bad? We've seen Raila Odinga working with many different governments, Daniel Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta. But this time round, seeing him getting into this administration and getting this newfound alliance with the president and Kenya Kwanza, many Kenyans are really concerned. Dr. Ngaru says that we need to stop it. Our hope was that the minority side, or what we call the of opposition, would be able to balance this debate. But it would appear there's a lot of excitement from your party, Bwana Kisia, to be part of this administration and probably collectively declare that it is your turn to eat.
Fred, just before I comment on what you've said about eating, allow me to pass my condolences to the late Professor Karega Mutai's family, who passed on last week. I worked with Karega, a fine gentleman, very professional, and may the Almighty Lord fortify the family during this very difficult moment. Now, Fred, I don't deny I'm a member of ODM. I've never denied. But I can tell you, I'm also a life member, but there's nowhere in ODM have we said that we must be part of eating. I know what the party stands for. That has never changed. If it has changed, then maybe Mumbi can tell us it changed yesterday. But as far as I know, we are very clear when it comes to matters to do with corruption and mismanagement of the economy. I have not sat down with the party leader, my party leader, but I'm hoping that, you know, and Mzee has been, he's very visionary. You look at his history, look at the way when he joins government with an end game. And I suspect the end game is not about donating some experts, like people say, or like some of our members have said, that we are donating experts. I don't know experts in what. I am praying and hoping that we'll see a Tinga effect. A Tinga effect. That we are in and we blow up this thing from inside so that we deal with corruption once and for all. We had started off very well with the Kibaki administration. You saw Kenyans arresting corrupt government officials because they have the powers to arrest. So I'm hoping that my party leader, that in donating the so-called experts to join the Kenya Kwanza government, that the end game is to correct the evils that are being perpetuated by this administration. Because it is disgusting. It is actually disgusting even to think that Baba would want to be part of this group. It is disgusting. Okay? So I am just praying that the end game is different from what we imagine as ordinary members of ODM. Okay? Because Mzee has a stellar performance. Mzee has been in politics for over 4 decades. I don't think he's so naive to the extent that he'll want his stellar performance to go down in history in the manner that people think. So I am hoping that my sister can organize for another sitting so that we can speak to Mzee.
Yes,
but the issue, Fred, and Mzee is alive to this fact, that some of the things that we see here, Fred, here, people stealing billions, and my brother said 300 billion. What I want to add is 300 billion stolen by less than 10 people. And now take 1,000 people who are part of this government, who are in the eating. These are trillions of shillings.
But Bwana Kisia, I have a question for you. You're party leader and you have a lot of faith in him. And on the Adani issue, there's a lot of concern, including yourself. You've expressed concerns about the Adani deals. And he is the one person, even before the president spoke, who came out and supported the deal. On page 4 of the Daily Nation, they say Raila, the unlikely force steadying Ruto's ship amid internal turmoil. He is a key gear in the survival of this administration, and he appears to be the one pacifying and sanctifying even things that other Kenyans are saying that no, this is not what we signed up for.
You see, I said that sometimes Mzee's strategy, and that's why it's strategy, okay? And the strategy you don't put it out in the open. Otherwise, it ceases to be strategy. So I'm hoping that he's saying this, but it means something different. And if you look at his history, if you look at Mzee's history, there is nowhere he has gone and been part of corruption. So I'm hoping that it's one of his strategies to get in, because it is easier to destroy once you are inside and to destroy for the good. But I've said, and I'm on record, I've said that from his statement, from his pronouncement, I respectively differed with him. But from the point of strategy, and knowing Mzee, I suspect that he has said, let us get in. Once we get in, we fix. If we cannot fix, we blow it up.
Right.
So I'll not be worried.
We look at the front page of the Star. The big headline screaming Ruto's plan to inherit Raila turf and retain Gema. Now we are seeing the president in his weekend, even church attendance. He's now accompanied by ODM MPs. Do we have that story filed by our reporter? Yes. Just before we run the story, we have the president somewhere in Uasin Gishu, but it's ODM MPs from Nyanza who are accompanying the president now. Let's watch that story before we come back to Bwana Pogisio.
Speaking during Sunday Mass at Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Church in Moiben, Uasin Gishu County, President William Ruto called on leaders to unite Kenyans for the strength of the country.
Hatujakuja siasa kanisani. Tumekuja kanisani kwa sababu sisi ni Wakristo. Tumekuja kanisani kwa sababu tuko na imani. Na tuko na mpango ya kwenda mbinguni baada ya hii shughuli mingi.
The president further challenged leaders to work for the good of the people and not their own selfish interests.
Tushirikiane pamoja. We don't come to church to do or to look for politics. Sisi tunaelewa mahali ya kutafutana na masiasa na makura. Sisi sio viongozi ndio tunufaike ama ndio tupate umaarufu. Sisi ni viongozi ndio tuwatumikie wananchi hawa na manufaa ifikie kila Mkenya.
His allies, among them leaders from Mount Kenya region, expressed commitment to unite Kenyans. The leaders also included ODM members of parliament who have said they are supporting the Ruto's presidency.
You've spoken the language of unity from the very beginning of your reign. And our people do not understand, but when you swore and put your hand on the Bible and lifted the Constitution, among the matters which you said before Kenyans you defend is the unity of our nation.
Si rais tulikuchagua kwa hiari na kwa imani. Na imani yetu rais haijashuka. Tunaamini ya kwamba hii safari na hii serikali tuliunda pamoja, tutatembea pamoja mpaka mwisho.
This coming in the wake of his deputy Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment over, among other issues, dividing Kenyans along tribal lines.
Kidogo tumekuwa na siasa kidogo ya mtu wetu. Sisi tunaamini siasa ya watu wetu.
I've realized that it's very difficult to build a nation. And leaders of the nation like yourself, His Excellency, can work very hard to build every single great thing.
The leaders also called on Kenyans to register for the Social Health Authority SHA, which has seen more than 13 million Kenyans registered so far.
Tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa siku hii. Ni siku.
Yes, there are quite a number of ODM leaders accompanying the president, and you could hear even they're not so used to addressing the president, referring to him as His Excellency instead of Your Excellency. And things are really changing, that we have ODM really excited to be following around the president, someone they've criticized for quite a long time. Do you share in the same sentiments as Bwana Kisia that probably there's a bigger play in this, and probably we should expect something different. Are you convinced that that is what could be happening?
Well, the way to say it is that you'll tell them by their fruits, and it doesn't come out as strategy, because you can see already that the number of people who have gone into this government from ODM. Do you think they've gone there with the same strategy as Baba has? I don't believe so. So there's a difference between Baba himself has not yet gone into this government, right? But the people who have preceded him in the government, do they look like the people who are going to fight corruption from within? That's a question we should say. Knowing them, it's most likely that some of them are already saying it's our turn to eat. But let me tell you that the economy is just in danger, and we have cascaded this corruption not just at the below the national level. Look at the counties. I was just reading this morning about one county where officials have been arrested for stealing 1.5 billion from one small county. And that's just one small county. You'd wonder what is going to happen to our counties. So this whole thing, how do you arrest it? Even if you say that Raila is steadying the ship, Raila has no authority over what goes on in the politics and even the economy of this country. He may be the future in steadying the ship when he gets involved into making decisions for it. But right now, he doesn't make the decisions. He has donated people to make those decisions into this government. But I don't think he himself now can be blamed for what's happening, really. However, the way people view Raila and what's going on in this government, people are beginning to put caution. Because, I mean, you would wonder, if we're speaking about a government and say this government is corrupt, the things we see here, and do you want to steady that kind of government? Is that your business to go and steady it? Or do you really want to do what Philip is saying? Just go and start from within with the hope that you will actually influence change in that government and fight corruption from there. The corruption levels in this country would require that kind of almost disruption to cause it to be cautious, to touch even the senses of the people who are there. Because once you're steep into corruption like this, all you can do is keep doing it. I mean, there's no way somebody who has, for example, benefited from 100 billion is just going to keep quiet. It's going to get more and more and more. And so we are only increasing the level of corruption. So as you ask me, I hope that Philip's words and of course Mumbi's belief that, I also believe that Raila should be the change that happens in that government, because he has fought for democracy, he has fought for change and for corruption. But now the image out there is that he's getting into this government, it's going into bed with this government and so on. So I don't know how he's going to redeem himself. We are hoping that his success into the AU will give him a better clout, even from the AU, to influence what goes on in the countries in Africa, including his own country, as chairman of the commission. So we hope that he gets the job. He gets a position that will help him to actually even just advise, even influence what goes in the country. However, if you were to select people to serve in this government, you should select people who you believe are going to make things different. People who are going to change, who are going to fight corruption from within. So those dockets where ODM is, as put members, we should see that those dockets are the ones which are run better, and that corruption in those dockets is better. Okay. But you see now, they're only a small number, and even if they went to cabinet, I don't think there's much influence they have.
All right, and probably I hope this is a fair question to ask you. As a member of ODM, Dr. Ngaru, you see this, and we've been talking about these actions that you also do not condone. Would you be willing, if offered, to join this administration and probably be part of the strategy that Bwana Kisia is hoping the party leader is working on? Is it something you would consider?
Before I get there, let me just educate ourselves kidogo. The screaming head that accompanied by ODM members, and therefore it is assumed that ODM now we really want to go in and support. I will say this because it's a fact. It has been done over the years by all administrations. Wherever a president or even a party leader has a function or an event, members who accompany them are actually invited. They don't just go. They are invited, and they are facilitated to accompany the president or the party leader or whoever to that function. And normally, there is a brief, and I'm talking about it, and we have somebody who sat in the cabinet here. I have also been invited, and so I'm speaking from a point of experience. And therefore, when you find that kind of an event, it's not the party speaking, okay? The owner of the event and the function, the one who invited and facilitated, has a message that will be amplified by those accompanying him. I think I have done a fair something to all of us. That next time you see me accompanying the president and speaking like, is that Mumbi of ODM, the one I know? You will never ask me that question again.
Is it possible? Could it happen?
Yeah, that is exactly what happens.
No, with you, with Dr. Ngaru.
That's why you will never find me there.
Okay.
Okay? That's why you'll never find me there. Because there are some things that are dear to me, and it is good to say I will not be available.
Okay.
So, having said that, then you understand that those that are invited and selected are prepared to pass the message as, you know, as when they sit in that briefing session. It's a practice that is done all over, in all administrations. And I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, even during KANU days of the famous 24 years of Moi, in Kibaki, in Uhuru, and even now, it's happening. And I can tell you, the selection is, no, don't call that one who didn't do it well. Do your own research, and if you find that I have not given you enough information, we will discuss. If I am called, you asked me, would I go and serve? Yes, I would. But I will have my boundaries. I am not going to allow my mouth to be for hire. I have done it all the years I've been in politics, and I've said it, that is not for me. And let me give you an example. I served in Arusha as a member of parliament in ODM, and that's when the county's government started. And I sat with my party leader because he's a Democrat and he understands it. I told him, I am ODM, I'm not leaving. But I will never accompany him to meetings outside my county where my party and my party leader is being insulted. And you know it was happening. And I will never be present in my own county when my leaders from my county are insulting my party and my party leader. And I did it. And whenever he came to Central Province or to counties in my region, he would call me from Arusha and I would be a part of his team. So it's a decision that you make.
Okay.
And it can be done. But I will not allow my mouth to be for hire. If you want to say it, do it with your own mouth. It's the decent thing to do.
All right. Our turn to eat. That's the big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation, and we've been trying to examine how ODM plays into this, because kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo inasema ODM yategea minofu zaidi. If you read those two headlines together, you know what it means. Anyway, the Standard and the People Daily have decided to go with something different. On the front page of the Standard, DP aims wisdom jibe at Ruto in defining week. And on the front page of People Daily, pray for Ruto, cries Rigiji. We also have a story on the return of the security detail for the impeached deputy president. Let's watch that story before we come and discuss this changing face of Kenya's politics in as far as it involves the impeached deputy president.
At the St. James SEK Church in Kiambu County, embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was attending a church service, accompanied by his spouse Pastor Dorcas Rigathi and his allies. At the service, Gachagua called on Kenyans to be peaceful and pray for the president.
We want to ask the people of Kenya to remain peaceful, and we want to ask the people of Kenya to pray for our president, Dr. William Ruto, to give him wisdom to navigate the challenges affecting the Kenyan people.
The embattled DP arrived at the service with his official security team days after the security was withdrawn. Sources indicated that security has been reinstated at his private residence in Karen. 2 official vehicles have also been reinstated as he battled for his survival at the courts. The 2 vehicles were part of his convoy to Kiambu Sunday, as well as the security team.
These are moments in silence.
In his speech, Gachagua said that Kenyans continue to feel the heat of overtaxing and a failed health system under the current government.
Our people are feeling helpless because of economic adversities, because of overtaxation, because of failing health systems, and the president has a big job to do. We want to ask prayers for him, for God to give him wisdom, so that the people of Kenya can get some relief as they go about their businesses.
Gachagua and his allies would later attend a local music concert in Dumberi, Kiambu County. He is challenging his impeachment in court, as well as the nomination of Kithure Kindiki as the deputy president.
Wakitaka wapunguze baada ya miaka 2027 waende nyumbani next year, hiyo tutakubali. Lakini atuongeze, hiyo haiwezekani kwa Kenya yenye demokrasia.
Wao tena sasa wanasema wataonyesha Gachagua dust. Nataka niwaambie wenzangu mnaosherekea, akiwemo ndugu yangu Weta, akiwemo ndugu yangu Kindiki, wale mnasema mtaonyeshwa dust, wajue ya kwamba dust is constant. Asante.
Joash Onsare, TV 47.
Yes, the image of the Deputy President back on the front pages today. The Star has that picture of the Deputy President accompanied by a number of MPs in church in Kiambu. The Standard, the big story is about the Deputy President. They say Rigathi Gachagua is asking Kenyans to pray for the President to have wisdom, to offer some relief from what he said was overtaxation and a crumbling healthcare system. Meanwhile, what is happening in court continues. He's there on the front page of the Daily Nation with this big headline, "Our Turn to Eat," because he's also listed there and the things he's said to have done. Bwana Kisia, it's interesting to hear the Deputy President talk about a failed healthcare system, overtaxation of Kenyans. And one may wonder, should we expect more of this going forward now that we are almost towards the end of that impeachment process? That now he and because ODM is excited to join government, that now ODM is no longer calling out the failings of this administration, and the impeached Deputy President now is he now the official opposition leader?
Fred, I think we are living in very interesting times, but I was happy to see Rigiji, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, looking relaxed and happy, and also the spouse standing behind him. I think that's really partnership, in good and bad times. So an example to be followed, emulated. I fully want to agree with Rigiji. Completely agree with him, 100%. We're helpless. Kenyans are in pain. Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans actually are not even in a high dependency. They are in ICU. And if that was the reason for my party donating the 4 experts to get into this government to resuscitate and get us out of ICU, I would support it. But I fully agree with Rigiji. He has spoken on behalf of very many people, and his prayer, whether genuine or not genuine, the things he has said are accurate. He has said that the education system is crumbling. Is it not crumbling? It is. The funding model is completely crumbling. He has talked about a collapsing health system. People are dying. For heaven's sake, people are dying. But His Excellency, the President, is asking us to be patient as we die. Is he serious? Is he humane? He's talking about teething problems. Teething problems and people are dying? Couldn't we have rolled out this new health system in a better way, organized way, incrementally, as we move from NHIF, even if we had to move out of NHIF? Was there not a better way of doing it? What was the rush? Or is it because it's 104 billion that people had to eat? Is it because of that money that you put the lives of people at risk? And from the reports we are getting, people are saying, listen, cancer patients in a month, some go through 2 cycles, some 4. Dialysis, you are giving them 1. So are you just, condemning the people of Kenya to death? I think this government has actually passed a death sentence to all people who are sick. In fact, they're just saying we want you to die slowly. I don't know why, but maybe they should explain to us why they want people of Kenya to die because of lack of health care. Then, of course, the other thing that the Deputy President has spoken about, which I concur with him, he's talked about overtaxation. It's a fact. So Rigiji has spoken truthfully And when I'm the one who started saying, but this man is truthful. But now he has come out of, his cocoon, he's come out. He's now spitting. I wish he had started speaking what he's talking about much earlier. But better late than never. He is talking the truth. May he continue talking the truth. I am hoping that if he is deputy president, who now he seems not be having a very good relationship with, cannot convince him to change, cannot convince him to change course, I am hoping that his spouse, Rachel Ruto, will speak to him in private, quietly, when they're having their moment, and tell him to his face, my husband. She's the only one who's qualified to address the president in that manner. My husband. Things are terribly bad. Do something about it, because people are in pain. As a mother, I'm now talking to you as a mother, and as your wife, Kenyans are suffering. Please change. Okay. Please take action.
And it's having a former close ally of the president, someone who must have been involved in a lot of these cabinet meetings, now calling out the government directly. Has it happened before in Kenya? Because even when things were not so good between William Ruto and his boss back then, Uhuru Kenyatta, I do not recall this kind of criticism where you're saying everything is crumbling.
Fred, I don't know how you cannot recall, because this is exactly the script. Exactly the script. When William Ruto when they had now differed with Uhuru Kenyatta, he was traveling all over the country criticizing the government over taxation. If you listen to all those speeches, bad education, all those things that they're saying now about William, exactly is what he was saying about Uhuru Kenyatta. What my fear in this whole thing is, and I think the only test to truthfulness by the deputy president is, supposing he were to go back as a deputy president, supposing he wins this case, let's just assume, is that exactly what he's going to tell the president? Or now he will now become part and parcel of the system? So the other thing which I want to say is this, and I think what people are saying, even when they call the president Zakayo, when they say Zakayo Shuka, it actually means literally, please come to our level. Come and understand us. Come and feel what we are feeling, which I think Rigiji has felt in the few weeks that he was here. He's actually felt it. But you see, when you are in the high places, when you are in your office and comfort, you cannot feel the things that you're being told now that it's about. So the way he speaks, and I hope he means that, so that even if he's back as deputy president full time, because he's now deputy president fighting in court, he would stand by these things and tell the president as a principal advisor, this is what's happening in the country, and hopefully see some change. I also hope that the president, who is now listening to his deputy, would adapt that speech, and when he goes out to the people, I hope he can tell the people of Kenya, I do know what you're going through. And actually, basically repeat these things. I know we have challenges in education. I know we have a failing system in health. The day the president becomes a very humble person, comes down to that level, it begins, then change can happen. You become vulnerable to your people. You say, we understand the system. I understand your problems. I understand what you're going through. At what point, every day it's another promise. We're going to do this, we're going to do this. But really, come down fast. Come to the level of your people and see. The people surrounding the president are the ones we are seeing here in the list here. They're billionaires. Billionaires never feel what the people are feeling. And so I do hope that what Rigiji is saying, he should just add one more thing to his talk, which is the runaway corruption in this country. And because he is privy to some information, he should actually continue to talk about it, about the corruption in this country. And let it be not just telling us about taxes and so on. That's true, we know that. But condemn, identify, and let people know about this corruption, because we need the truthful man to keep saying this truth, whether he's in office or outside office.
Okay.
Of course, we pray for him. I mean, he's now in court. Things are very complicated there in this court system about this case. And he might be just there for a while as a DP. In fact, now that the security has been given back, it's a good sign. It's a good sign that we are now recognizing that this man is still the Deputy President of Kenya. So let me come back to the whole idea about why we think this country will probably recover at some point. And it is going to be in the moment when our dear President, His Excellency William Ruto, comes down to the level that he now recognizes these things that Rigiji is saying and other people have been saying, including the security in the country. These things that scare away investors and the economy cannot grow. And I need for these people to know that the money being held by these billionaires is not going to help the country. This is not, please, accumulating this wealth simply puts you so far away from the people. Let's calm down and let's address the things that are biting Kenyans right now. This shisha things is actually a very great cause of concern. This educational thing that even our kids are doing exam now, and we congratulate them, wish them well. But when they finish, there will be no classrooms in January. This taxation thing, which is driving away a lot of business people. If you look, and I've kept saying, if you look at the number of people being auctioned every week in this country, you will then understand the needs. If you look at those of us who are in leadership, who are in leadership, the kind of messages you get from people, you realize people are really very badly off. Can you calm down and listen to your people? Have compassion on them. Show them the character, the true character of a leader. Show them that you care about them. And lift them from where they are. Very soon, there will be no lifting. You can't lift them from when they're so deep. Let's lift them now. And that's just a call to the leadership at this particular time. I'm not thinking it's just the president. It is the members of parliament with their CDF and so on. It is the MCAs with their development fund, whatever they're getting. It's everybody has decided to care about themselves.
The president, meanwhile, appears keen on the politics. Ruto's plan to inherit Raila's staff and retain Gema, we've seen now he's being accompanied by ODM MPs. Raila troops and Mount Kenya MPs accompany the president to church events and vow to stand with him. Meanwhile, the deputy president, and on the Standard is a very interesting headline. The DP aims wisdom jibe at Ruto in defining week. And he says, we pray, he's asking Kenyans to pray for the president to get wisdom. Do you think that is what is lacking? With all these problems that we are facing, a president who appears more keen on handling the politics, yet so many other things are failing in this country. Is it an issue of wisdom? Lacking?
It's just a part of it. From where I sit, you need more. Waziri keeps on talking about coming down to listen to the people. Because the people have been talking. They've been saying this is not it. Where they have been told everything that needs to be said. Taxation, about education, about the medical, about education. Ordinary Kenyans have been talking. So the pain that that has really gotten into them, it's not that the president or the cabinet or the government does not know. And it is not lack of wisdom. There's something more to it. And so long as we have beneficiaries of the confusion in the executive, in the parliament, in judiciary, in all sectors, then the situation will not be any better. So I feel we need much more than wisdom. The deputy president could have used that to appeal to some kind of sobriety in dealing with the issues that probably are affecting him at an individual level. And from where I sit, I think he's doing a good job. Having gone through what he has gone through in the last 3 weeks, he comes out more clear. He's coming out of a frozen condition. It has also probably made him a better person in the way he looks at things, and also the way he relates to other Kenyans. And the good thing from where I sit is that this cage of corrective responsibility, that there are some things that you cannot actually talk about even after you have discussed at cabinet level. He's kind of free to talk about them now, and he's doing it in a very subtle manner, and Kenyans and those who've been following what has been happening in the last 3 weeks think that the guy has much more he would talk about, probably to expose the system that he is a part of. So wisdom and we all need more than wisdom. This country is at crossroads, and we need prayers more than anything else.
Right.
And we need to, I don't know, we need to actually encourage the president to let the institutions, let his cabinet ministers help him. And this idea of that even those who go before him, so we are told, remember I'm in the political field, they are afraid, probably terrified of telling him the truth. And I almost believed it, because I cannot believe from where I sit that the nominee into the position of deputy president, who is a professor of law at a university, a practicing lawyer, does not understand the position he is in and where he's been put, and cannot walk humbly to his boss and explain the very, very ordinary things that are being even talked about by villagers, and tell his boss, can we wait? Can I be, So there's something, and not just wisdom.
It's beyond wisdom. It's beyond wisdom, like
that is lacking in the matrix of all those things.
All right.
And I hope, and I hope, as we continue, it's going to come through. The security was returned. In fact, I saw his vehicles having the flag. So it's dawning on other units that let's bring some sobriety into the whole thing.
Debate.
Yeah.
Yes. On the front page of the People Daily, the headline says, "Pray for Ruto, cries Rigiji." Impeached deputy president accuses president of overtaxing Kenyans and presiding over a failed health system, even as commander-in-chief calls for national unity amidst a raging storm. We're about to get an update on the KPSEA exams, but before that, probably we can shift and talk about education slightly. Bonakisia, you're very active on X. And the president last week, when wishing the KCSE candidates for this year, now we are doing KPSEA, he wished over 965,000 candidates all the best in their exams, and there was something they call community notes, where the system noted that despite him wishing them success, the fact is they may never get to join university because of the funding model that he is presiding over. These are the problems, and these are the things that Kenyans are suffering right now. When it comes to education, even with the CBC, lack of teachers, lack of funding, the funding model for universities, do you think that this administration has really done justice to the children of Kenya?
Well, Fred, let me say this, that this administration has done something that no one could imagine. You only modify or change what is not working. And even as you push the change, you want to make that is working better. But you don't find something that is working, and the changes that you're instituting collapse what is already good. So this is an administration that has clearly taken three steps backward. President Emilio Mwai Kibaki set a very strong foundation for education. He gave us free primary education within the first 100 days. Within the first 100 days. And we moved from an economy that had completely collapsed. You remember we are negative when Kibaki took over. But what did he manage to do? Through good management practices, free primary education. Then came President Uhuru. President Uhuru built on the blocks. He gave us free secondary education. Now, with the background that President Ruto has, one would have expected that he would have done even much better than Mwai Kibaki, who came from a very solid background in terms of education, in terms of upbringing, and so on and so forth. Then Uhuru Kenyatta, who actually was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He didn't have to do what he did, but he did something for this country. You would have expected this man from Sugoi, our president, to now say, okay, fine. Building on the successes that we have, I am going to give the children of the Republic of Kenya free university education. And this is possible. Let them not tell us that there's no money. We have seen in today's paper, 300 billion. They're stealing. They're eating our money. Stealing. Looting. Actually, no, they are looting money. 300, only, I think, 6-7 people looting 300 billion. You can imagine if we stopped the looting. We can give Shifsha free. We can give education our education, entire education is free. We can give almost everything free. What we just need is to stop looting, stop corruption, and we have sufficient resources to do what needs to be done. So, President Ruto has a few more, I think 2 years, to try and change the mindset, to try and change the gear, and to move this country in the right direction. Right now, we're actually going reverse.
Wow. Bonapogisio and Dr. Ngaru, I'll want you to comment on the same issues to do with education. I know there are so many other problems, just in anticipation of what we're going to get an update on the KPSEA exams. So what is your assessment of how the education sector has been handled by this administration so far?
Fred, let me just say on that matter that, just to support what Philip has said here, changing the course midstream was a very difficult situation and decision to make. In the middle of an economic problem, it wasn't thought through very well. Because as they say, if it's not broken, why are you fixing it? It's amazing that we had to fix something and yet we didn't see the end game of it. Now we are struggling. And okay, we can force the system to work. The kids will do the exam at KPSEA level. They will do exams at KCSE level. They will even do exams, you go to university and so on, but the number of people who are going to drop out of university is already very clear. They have no chance of going to university. You can already see people have qualified, but they cannot go to university. They can't go to colleges. And I mean, we can give you examples from our own local areas. People cannot go. So is this fixing it? Was it broken? I don't think so. But anyway, it's late because now this government is committed. And I think that what the problem is trying to introduce too many new things at the same time with the same kind of economic situation and outlook that we have. So the thing is just to wish our kids well. I really hope that this is a chance for Dr. William Ruto, whom I think is able to do this, is to stop corruption, cut off connections with the people who are corrupt, bring in people who can help him steer this country in a better way away from corruption. That's how we're going to save our kids from failing and staying at home. We're going to help our sick people who are now suffering. And I think just getting that level to the place where he understands them, he sits down with them and says, what is your issue, you people from dialysis? What's going on here with cancer treatment? What's going on here with our schools? He should at least come to that level. Because if we don't get there, if we keep the same pace, we're going to lose a lot of people.
A whole generation could be disenfranchised, missing out on university education despite them performing well in the KCSE they're currently sitting countrywide. Do you feel that this administration is thinking about that is even concerned that could happen, that we could have an entire generation who miss out on university education because of someone's decision?
Yes, it will affect them in a big way. And it takes us back to during our time. If we didn't have people in government who thought about generations to come, probably we wouldn't be here. And for me, the problem is we don't have leaders, even at the Ministry of Education, who can talk about the issues that we are talking about now. So from where their strategy is, what are we going to make out of this? And it doesn't matter to them whether a million children will go to waste. And that's how you make a country go bad. That's how you just destroy a country. And for even those who are going to the university, it's not any better. The quality of education and the product of those that are getting out of the same education is wanting. Now the problem is also now comes to the middle class that are yourselves and others who can take their children out to study in better schools, probably outside the country, because you can afford to pay for it. But after finishing their education, if we have not created systems that will accommodate them back to make the changes that we desire, we are not only talking about a generation gone bad, we are talking about a country going to the dogs.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngaru, Philip Kisia, and Samuel Pugisio. We now want to focus more on the KPSEA exams that are starting countrywide this morning. And PS for Education Bello Kipsang was among top government officials who presided over the management and the distribution of exam material across the country. He was in Nairobi. Bwana Kipsang will be getting an update on what he had to say. Then we'll be getting updates from West Pokot and Kirinyaga counties as well. So let's start off with what PS Bello Kipsang had to say.
So many people are worried about us as teachers, whether we shall be objective or that we could have been, there was possibility that we could be subjective in the way that we are going to assess our children. But the last two summative assessments that we have done, in comparison with the school-based assessment, the formative assessment that you did, there was quite, it was reflective. The abilities of children were reflective. And therefore, we say thank you. And that's why going forward, we would want to make this really a school-based, a school and teacher-based management of this summative 40% assessment. The other thing I know, and I would want to thank you, I know in Nairobi we have not done, we are dealing with phase 2 of our classrooms for grade 9. But I know you people, you have done a good job. You have already done the processes of procurement of the contractors. I know the resources is already with you. Within a short time, I know you will be able, just like your colleagues in the other parts of the country have done, to be able to deal with this issue of classrooms. We are already making very good progress on the first 11,000 classrooms that we have commissioned across the country. In the next few days, we have already engaged with our parliamentarians because they are going to do for us another 6,800 classrooms. The government, through the Ministry of Education, gave 3.4 billion shillings to the CDF, and CDF was to match shilling for shilling, so that we are going to have 6.8 billion shillings, which would do for us another 6,800 classrooms. So plus the 11,000 that we are doing as government, that would take us to 17,800. I know our requirement is around 17,000, but we know there are also schools who could be having very few students. They could be having 5, they could be having 10. In grade 7, in grade 8, we will transition to grade 9. And we said we don't want to leave any child behind. So there is another 2,000 classrooms, which we are working on, so that in case there will be any school that may not have been captured in all these processes, then they don't get disadvantaged when our children go to grade 9 in January. As we are all aware, also last week, our Cabinet Secretary flagged off textbooks for our children who are proceeding to grade 9. Our children will be having, in all the 9 learning areas, a book for every of those learning areas on a 1-to-1 book ratio, because we would want to prepare these kids adequately as we look for.
All right, and just as you put it, I'm coming to you live.
School. I know some of our schools in July, when we did the pilot on the assessment that we shall be doing for grade 9, and therefore we've done analysis of that pilot. It is giving us very critical information that will be able to assist us as we prepare next year to do the first junior school assessment in November next year. We are going to avail to yourself sample assessment papers so that you'll be knowing exactly what type of assessment we shall be subjecting our children at the end of the year next year. And also so that we can work together to improve on this assessment, because you are the teachers, you are the critical people who are on the ground working with our children. And therefore, why?
All right, and just as you put it, I'm coming to you live from Kapenguria in West Pokot County here, where we have come here to witness the official distribution of the national exams here. And without much ado, let's just hear from the official, from the Minister of Education, together with the area deputy county commissioner, who will give us a brief information of maybe what we expect from today towards the end of the week.
Kwa majina ni Simon Wamai, County Director of Education West Pokot. Siku ya leo tumekuja kulaunch KPSEA, mtihani wa KPSEA. Katika county yetu tuna wanafunzi 20,025. Tumeanza hii exercise vizuri na tunatarajia kwamba itaendelea vizuri mpaka mwisho. Kile ambacho ningetaka kusema ni kwamba kuna challenges nyingi ambazo tunazipata hapo West Pokot hasa wakati kuna mvua, lakini matayarisho kabambe yamefanywa kuhakikisha kwamba hizi challenges zote zimekuwa addressed. Kile ambacho ningetaka kuambia walimu ni kwamba mambo ya integrity ni very very important, na this year tunatarajia kwamba hakutakuwa na tatizo lolote hasa katika mtihani wa KPSEA. Vile vile tumesema kwamba kama tulivyoshauriwa ni kwamba mambo ya security hayatakuwa yanazingatiwa sana, kwa sababu kila route itakuwa na security officers wawili ambao wata escort mtihani mpaka centers. Wanafunzi hawatakiwi sana kuona watu wa security, kwa sababu wakati mwingine huwa wanaogopa. Na kwa hivyo kutokana na ushauri ambao tuliupata ni kwamba hakutakuwa na security officers kwa mashule yote, itakuwa tu kwa pale ambapo route inaishia, ambapo ndipo askari watakapokuwa. Na tunatarajia kwamba yote yatakuwa mema na tutakamilisha huu mtihani baada ya siku 3.
Wycliffe Munanda, Deputy County Commissioner West Pokot Sub County. Leo tunaanza rasmi mitihani ya KPSEA, na katika West Pokot Sub County hatuna changamoto sana hii mitihani, kwa sababu ni assessment. Tunaamini itaendelea vizuri bila matatizo, kwa sababu yule county director amesema education haina haja sana ya security kuman hizo centers, kwa sababu hawa ni watoto wadogo ambao pia they need not to be exposed kwa vitu kama ya security sana. Kwa hivyo kama sub county we have provided escort ambayo inatosha vile regulation inasema, na kwa hivyo tunatarajia mtihani itaendelea vizuri bila taswishi. Kwa hivyo hatuna shaka.
Tumejipanga vizuri na tunatarajia kwamba mtihani itaendeshwa vizuri mpaka mwisho. Asante sana.
My name is Andrew Juma from West Pokot County, and back to you.
All the center managers are present. They are able to pick the exams. Necessary security arrangements have been made, and the exams are secure. All arrangements are set. We have no doubt that this is going to be a successful exercise. We are working together with all the agencies to make sure that the exams are delivered and they are credible as the government has planned. And no, so far so good. There are no incidences up to now. All the 290 centers in the county have around 12,000 candidates. Everything is set and all is well so far. No incident has been reported so far, and all arrangements have been made. We want to wish all the students well and success. So far, we wish them well. Our parents, we want to ask the parents, let's support our children, let's support them during the time of exams. And we give them the necessary support they require. And we are sure that exams are going to be credible. Nobody has an intention or making any attempt to, make the discredit the exam. So we ask the parents, teachers, everybody, and all the stakeholders that we join hands to make sure that the exams are credible.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu